In this video, I am going to explain about what is preemptive and what is non-preemptive scheduling. So before explaining this topic, I'll explain some terms related to this topic. So first term is CPU scheduler. Okay. So first let us see what is CPU scheduler. Okay. So let us assume that this is the CPU. Okay. And these are the processes in the primary memory. Okay, so this is the primary memory. So we have some processes in the primary memory and this is the CPU. And let us assume that now CPU is idle. Okay, so if CPU is idle, then operating system should load. Now operating system should choose one of the process among these four processes in order to execute. Okay, for execution purpose, operating system can choose any of these processes. Okay, it can choose any of the process. So choosing the process for execution is the responsibility of the CPU scheduler. Okay, CPU scheduler, what it will do? When CPU is idle, it will choose one process among all the processes in the primary memory. So now CPU is idle and now we have four processes in the primary memory. So CPU scheduler, what it will do is it will choose one process among these four processes in order to execute for execution purpose. Okay, let us assume that CPU scheduler has chosen P1. So now CPU is allotted for process P1. Okay, so choosing one process among all the process in the primary memory for allocating the CPU is done by the CPU scheduler. So we can also call it as a short-term scheduler. Okay, so what is the job of short-term scheduler? The job of short-term scheduler is it has to choose one process among all the processes in the primary memory when the CPU is idle. We can allocate that CPU for the particular process. Okay, so selecting one process among all the processes in the primary memory is done by the CPU scheduler. Then next term is what is dispatcher. Okay, what is dispatcher? So let us assume that now CPU scheduler has chosen P1. Okay, and it has chosen P1 among all these processes. Okay, so now what dispatcher will do? Dispatcher will assign CPU to this process. See, the dispatcher will allocate CPU for this particular process. Okay, so actually CPU is given to the process P1. It is given to the process P1 by the dispatcher. The job of dispatcher is to assign CPU for the particular process. Okay, so let us assume that the time taken to assign CPU for the particular process is some 10 milliseconds. Let us assume that. Then this time is called the dispatch latency. So dispatch latency is nothing but time taken to assign CPU for a particular process which is chosen by the CPU scheduler is known as the dispatch latency. Okay, so here dispatch latency should be minimum. Okay, dispatch latency should be minimum. Okay, those are the terms related to the preemptive and non-preemptive scheduling. Okay, so now we will see when short-term scheduler comes into picture. When this short-term scheduler come into picture, there are four situations. Let us examine each and every situation. Okay, so when a process switches from running state to wait state. Okay, so at this particular time, so process, let us assume that process P1 is executing. Okay, so while executing, it has executed some of the statements. So in P1 we have some statements, right? So it has executed some of the statements. After executing those statements, it has some other statement. But in order to execute these statements, it does not require CPU. These are input and output related instructions. Okay, so now what happens? CPU, now the process switches from running state to it goes to the waiting state. Okay, process, let us assume that this is the CPU and this is the process in the CPU. That means now CPU process P1 is executing. Okay, So now process P1 enters into the waiting state. Before it is in the running state, it is using CPU burst. Okay, so now it is in IO burst. So that means it is going from running state to the waiting state. So process P1 goes to the waiting state. Okay, so now what we should do? Process P1 is in the waiting state now. That means CPU is idle, right? Now we can choose one process among all the processes in the primary memory. So now we can choose the other process, right? So this is called non-preemptive or cooperative scheduling. This is called non-preemptive or cooperating scheduling. That means we are not taking the CPU away from P1 forcibly. Okay, so here when process P1 is in waiting state, it does not require CPU, right? So here at this moment it does not require CPU in order to perform its operation. So now we are taking away CPU from process P1. Okay, we are not forcing that process. Okay, so this is called non-preemptive or cooperative. Here if you observe, you need to remember one point here. Process P1 does not require CPU because it is waiting for input-output operation. So that's the reason we are taking CPU from it. Okay, we are not forcing it. So we are taking it CPU from it. So it is called non-preemptive or cooperative scheduling. Okay. So here also we are choosing one process among all the processes in the primary memory. Right, so that is the job of the short-term scheduler, right? So here short-term scheduler comes into picture. Okay, when one process goes from running state to the waiting state, then we have to choose one process among all the processes in the primary memory. So here short-term scheduler comes into picture. Okay, so this is scheduling. Here this scheduling, the scheduling done by the short-term scheduler is called the non-preemptive scheduling or cooperative scheduling. Okay, so and here if you observe the fourth situation, when a process terminates, that means here P1 completed its execution. P1 finished its execution. That means it does not require CPU at all. Okay, that means we can take CPU from it. Okay, so when process P1 terminated, then we can take CPU from it. Okay, because process P1 does not require CPU now, so we can take CPU from it. So this is also called non-preemptive or cooperative scheduling. Here also what we should do now? P1 has finished its execution, so now CPU scheduler can choose one process among all the processes in the primary memory. So this is called scheduling, right? So this is done by the CPU scheduler. This is done by the CPU scheduler, and this scheduling is called the non-preemptive or cooperative, because we are not taking forcibly by the process P1. From process P1 we are not taking the CPU. Okay, so when it is finished its execution, then only we are taking the CPU from process P1. We are not forcing it. Okay, so that's the reason it is called non-preemptive. And coming to the second and third situations, let us assume that a process is in running state. Let us assume that P1 is in running state. So when it is in running state, because of some interrupt, it may go to the ready state. Okay, interrupt is nothing but, so P1 is running. So at this moment, one high priority process P2 has come. So what we should do? We should stop temporarily the execution of P1, right? That means we should move it to the ready state. That means whenever CPU is free, that means whenever P2 finished its execution, then it can take the CPU, right? So that's the reason it is called ready state. That means it is ready to execute. Okay, we are forcing this process to give CPU. Okay, so here it is in ready state. We are taking CPU from the process P1. Okay, we are forcing it to give the CPU. Okay, so now process is in ready state. Let us assume that high priority process P2 finished its execution. Now P1 is in the ready queue, and all the other processes P2, P4, P5 is also in the ready queue, right? Now we can choose one process among these processes. That means we can choose either P1 or we can choose some other processes also. So it is called preemptive scheduling. It is called preemptive scheduling. Okay. So here if you consider another situation, here if you observe the situation 3, from waiting state to the ready state. So actually one process is running. Let us assume that P1 is running. So when it is running, it has some input output operation. So it has gone to the waiting state. So it has finished IO operation. After finishing IO, again it will come to the ready state. So now P1 is in the ready state and all the other processes also in the ready state. Now we can choose either P1 or we can choose P3, P4, P5. We can choose any process, right? So this is called preemptive scheduling, because if you observe, actually P1 is in running state. After finishing the waiting state, it has gone to the ready state, right? Then actually we have to take P1. Actually CPU has to be assigned to the P1, because from running state it has gone to the waiting state, then from waiting state to the ready state. So actually we should assign CPU to process P1, but what we are doing, we are preempting. That means we are forcibly we are taking the CPU from P1. So it is called preemptive scheduling. Here also if you observe, actually P1 is executing, that means it is using CPU, but when high priority process came, then we are taking the CPU from it. It has not finished its execution even though we are taking CPU from it. Okay, so this is called preemptive scheduling.